The fifth fruit of the Spirit is what we call kindness. And I think it's interesting that the writers translated from the Greek for kindness into English, because kindness is one of those words that you don't really think about as an adult. We think more as kids. We're teaching kids to be kind to one another. When both my daughters started daycare, the teachers would always have to reprimand students, especially when my daughters were 2. When they were in daycare, 2 seems to be the age where the kids can't discern how to deal with their emotions. And so they hit, they bite, they pull hair, they just go all out. And it was one of those things every time, teachers would have to explain, hey, your daughter got bit today. Hey, your daughter bit somebody today, because they don't know how to express themselves. And so they would use this term and they'd say, you need to be kind to your friends. And what are they saying? Well, they're basically saying, stop biting each other. But that understanding of kindness is important. So how do we define kindness from a biblical perspective? Well, number one, we don't bite each other, which obviously, but Luke 6:31 says, and just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. And I think this is a really great understanding of biblical kindness. It's really just doing unto others as you would want them to do unto you. How would you treat somebody in their situation? Or if you were in that situation, how would you want them to treat you? That's how you should treat them. I believe that's really at the heart of kindness. And kindness is really interesting because it offers no discriminatory prerequisite. In order to give kindness, you don't have a checklist for who the person is. Do they meet this criteria? One of the best examples of this is the story of the Good Samaritan. And if you don't know this story, Jesus shares this parable in the Bible. It's recorded as a Jewish man who is traveling down a very dangerous area, and he gets mugged. Some people come out, they beat him, they steal his money, they steal his horse, they steal everything he has, they strip him almost naked. And along comes a Levite priest who would kind of like a deacon in the church at that time. And as he comes, he sees the man who's bleeding, and he goes to the other side of the road and continues, doesn't even bother with him. And then another person comes of the Jewish faith, and they see this guy. They cross to the other side. They don't want anything to do. They don't want to deal with his problems. But then comes a Samaritan. And historically, Samaritans and Jews were in a cultural war with one another. They both believed in the same God, but they believed you worshiped differently. And they actually became like mortal enemies at this point. But the Samaritan comes and he sees the Jewish man who is bleeding to death, and he doesn't second guess himself. He picks him up, puts him on his horse. He carries him to a hotel. He pays with his own money to take care of the man. He tells the innkeeper, whatever expenses he has, just charge it to me. I'll pay it myself. He uses his own oil and bandages to help bandage up the wounds so that they can heal. And that's the ultimate act of kindness. That Samaritan looked at the Jewish man and said, if I was in that place and he was standing here, how would I want him to treat me? He didn't ask, hey, are you heterosexual? He didn't ask, hey, who did you vote for in the last election? He didn't ask, hey, do you believe in transsexualism? He didn't ask any of those questions. In the same way, the fruit of the Spirit is very important for us as Christians, especially in the negative climate we live in of the social media age, where we have become tribes in our ideologies. Because when you see somebody who's in need, the Holy Spirit is not going to say, hey, check to see that they're a Christian first. No, he wants you to be living out the fruit of kindness so that your kindness can cause a curiosity in them and you can point them to Jesus. So I would challenge you, check your heart. If you're one of those people who says, I would never help that person because of what they believe or how they've acted, I want you to ask yourself, is that how you would want them to treat you? And is that how the Holy Spirit should be treating you?